Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you. Another offering off my sampler platter. Yes, indeed, folks. Sampler review series V's I've been doing for a little while now. Go over there, try out food and drink items. Eat stuff, I drink stuff, then, folks. Well, yeah, I'm gonna talk about stuff. I'm gonna let you know all that you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff. That time I'm doing this, folks, I'm not gonna lie. I'm about to review something that I have seen countless times. It never had, and I'm definitely excited. But we'll get to that. Folks, it's super simple format. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to try out food and or drink items for you. Whilst I'm doing so, I'm yammering around about it for a bit. Whilst I'm doing all that, I'm inside my truck. And whilst I'm doing all that, folks, I'm wearing a super cool shirt. Folks, when I wear super cool shirts, I always like to highlight the super cool shirt. What super cool shirt am I wearing for you today, folks? What happens to be my Powerman 5000 PM 5K shirt. I love Powerman 5000. They are for all intents and purposes, I'm going to refer to them as being, well, you know what? The era in which I am most fond of them, they were effectively sort of an industrial kind of new metal band. But they have worn many, many hats. The lead singer of Spider One, this gentleman right here, he has been, he's really just kind of gone with it. Wherever he's wanted to. Their earlier stuff was more kind of funky. Then eventually they had a bit of a punk kind of thing, which was not my thing, but interesting. But they're still at it to this day. I've been fortunate enough, I got to see them perform a couple times. I got to see them during this particular tour, which was the 25th anniversary of their album, Tonight the Stars Revolt, which for me is still their best album by far. But they're really awesome. I've actually got videos of their performances. Those videos are on this channel as well, just in case maybe you want to check them out. If nothing else, I'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction as far as their music is concerned, because I think they're really good. And there's so much different stuff that they've done. It's kind of a little bit for almost anybody. But anyway, what am I trying for you today, folks? What are we doing here? Well, I just got through reviewing some fried chicken from a place called Mitsuwa Marketplace, which is a Japanese marketplace. It's also a local establishment, by the way. So that review and this review are going to end up in my Eating Out Illinois playlist, which is a playlist for just Illinois local spots and stuff like that. And I was going around, I was going to get some onigiri, because I've gone over there and I've reviewed a number of onigiri from them in the past. Those are all on the channel. But then I saw it, and I was like, oh, so what is it? What are we doing? Boom, it's fish cakes. Look, they look like fish. Yes, these are fish-shaped cakes with sweet bean paste. I guess this is the name of it. Taiyaki Ogura. That's what I'm going with on it. But yeah, man, as somebody who grew up watching a lot of anime and stuff like that, I've seen these things, I don't know how many times, and I've just never run into them. But here they are. So, let's open it up. How do I open you up? How do I open you up? Where's the... Oh no! I genuinely don't know. There it is. Okay. Alright, to be fair, it was inside the thing. So, let's grab fish cake. Let's put it like this. Looks like this. It's a little fish cake. Ha 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 ha! Let's go ahead and... Yeah. Ooh. That's very filled. I figured it'd more just be kind of deep in the center, but no. Okay. Yeah, the pastry is kind of cakey. I don't know how much flavor there really is to the pastry itself. There's some for sure, but the majority of the flavor, at least as far as I can tell, seems to be coming from the sweet bean paste. So I'm really glad that you get a lot of the paste, because that's definitely where, like I said, most of the flavor is coming from. And yeah, it's good. It's got sort of the texture of refried beans, and it's kind of semi-sweet. It definitely has a sweetness to it, but I wouldn't consider it a particularly sweet pastry. in comparison to other things. And the exterior of the pastry, it almost reminds me a little bit of like a waffle. And yeah, like there's certainly some flavor to the pastry, but it's not. It's kind of like a waffle, but without like any butter or syrup or anything like that. There's a little flavor to it. Again, it definitely has like sort of a pastry aspect to it. But yeah, it's good. I like it, but I have to admit, I think I maybe had built it up in my head a little bit too much. Just again, from years of seeing, protagonists in anime going over there and eating it and always looking like, oh man. And to be fair, I've done that with plenty of other stuff, onigiri being another one. And I love onigiri. It's amazing. Like, I wish it was more readily available. Sushi is fantastic. There's a lot of things that, growing up watching them when I was younger, they met or even exceeded my expectations. With this, it's not bad, just again, not quite as built up as it was in my head. And that's on me. But it is good. I do like it. I can see why people would like it so much. For me, being from the United States, I'm used to like super sweet pastries, Hostess and Little Debbie and stuff like that. It's got a little bit more of that sort of like old world style pastry, It's not like super processed, it's not super sugary or anything like that. The flavors are more subtle. So I can get why there would be people who would choose this over again, something like the overly super processed stuff. And I like it for what it is. But two questions have to be asked. Would I get it again? Would I recommend it? On occasion, and sorta yes-ish. For me personally, like, I'm not gonna lie and go over there and say that, like, this has become my new favorite pastry. I'm gonna go over there, I'm going to become a perfect pastry chef and learn how to make this. Like, no, I like it though. It's good, and I could see it, especially for, like, when I go to Mitsuwa Marketplace, it is a day for me. It is something that I go over there, and I basically just, like, I'm just going to spend hours there. I'm going to go to the different shops, I'm going to eat a shit ton of delicious food, and it is one of those things where I could see how this would almost be kind of a nice palate cleanser as a dessert after all that, after, like, the heavier stuff, the ramen, the udon, whatever I get. I could see this being something where, I want something a little bit more subtle, a little bit more subdued. But, point for point, realistically, I am going to gear more towards, the stuff that I'm used to, the stuff that I have my personal favorites for. But I could see getting it on occasion. If I'm recommending it, that's where it gets a little bit harder, because it's like, there's nothing to dislike about it. But it is again, I think if I'm recommending it to, a Western palate, again, I don't think there's anything you would dislike about it, but it is definitely very different from what we're used to, because again, it's not as sweet. It's not, and maybe, like, to be fair, maybe in like certain parts of Europe or something like that, I don't know. I'm more speaking specifically, to kind of like the US palate and stuff like that. It's one of those things I would recommend you try. Especially if you're like me, where you grew up watching, anime characters eat it and stuff like that. I would definitely say give it a go. Be realistic with your expectations. But, because it is good. And it is unique in the way that it's flavored and what it's doing. So, it's at least worth a shot. But, again, at least for me, it's not something I would be like, oh, you got to go and get this. It's more one of those things, if you run into it, you want a little sweet treat for yourself, it's a nice thing. That's kind of my take on it. But anyway, 5 things before I get out of here. Have yourself a great rest of your day, spectacular rest of your week, monumental rest of your month, stupendous rest of your folks. Go over there, have yourselves a truly childhood expectations being met and exceeded tastic rest of your life. Because, I think that we'd all like to live in that, right? We usually aren't. But, Final two things, folks. Number one, try to bring some positivity into the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But what you do if you can't do all the time, I know I can't do all the time. Here's what you're going to do, folks. You're going to try not to be an asshole. Folks, not always the easiest thing in the world to not be an asshole. Trust me. I know it. I live it. I'm out there every day with you in it. Life can be stressful and frustrating and just bullshit sometimes, folks. And when we find ourselves in situations where we have to deal with said bullshit, it's important we go over there whenever possible. Take a step back. Try to mitigate the level of assholishness in our lives. Hopefully, do better for ourselves and for those around us. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, what about you? Do you have any like dishes or foods or anything like that where maybe you kind of overhyped them a little bit, or you had it in your head that they were going to be something and then they were very different than when you went over there and actually got around to trying them? I know for me personally as a kid, certainly I had stuff even back then. I grew up watching Bugs Bunny cartoons. I can't tell you how much I wanted to eat the shit out of a carrot and just like love it. And then I finally got, to like eat like a proper carrot dish and everything. I was like, this isn't as good as the cartoon rabbit made it out to be. Or bunny. Is there a difference in that instance? I don't know. I think it's rabbit and a hare are the different ones. I don't know, but whatever. But yeah, so do you have anything like that? Something that maybe you personally were really excited to try, and then when you finally got to it, you were like, eh? So, anyway,